veteran account executive picks up a certificate of insurance. 10 seconds is all it takes. She says, the additional insured endorsement doesn't match the contract requirements. It looks like she's barely read the document. Meanwhile, a newer team member stares at the same certificate for 10 minutes, checks every box, and misses the same issue. The gap in experience isn't measured in years. It's something happening inside the brain, something cognitive science have mapped. And that most important part about it, you can build it deliberately. Daniel Kahneman, Nobel Prize-winning psychologist, described 2 systems of thinking. System 1 is slow, deliberate, step by step. How novices process. Read the certificate line by line, check each field against the contract, compare manually. System 2, it's fast, automatic, almost unconscious. How experts process. The veteran didn't read every line. Her brain pattern matched against thousands of certificates in standard AGC contract language. And then she flagged the anomaly almost instantly. This isn't a gift. It's a specific neurological process called chunking. A novice sees dozens of individual data points, named insured, policy number, limits, endorsements, effective dates. Each one competes for working memory. An expert doesn't see separate items. Through deliberate practice, their brain has grouped those data points into meaningful patterns. Chunks, 3 or 4 familiar configurations instead of 30 disconnected fields. That frees cognitive resources to spot when something doesn't belong. The physical mechanism is called myelination. Every time you practice with focused attention, your brain wraps the relevant neural pathways in a fatty sheath called myelin. More myelin means faster signal transmission, literally faster thinking along that pathway. That's why the veteran processes in seconds what takes the novice minutes. Critically, myelination doesn't really happen from passive exposure. Sitting next to an expert for 5 years doesn't myelinate your pathways. You need deliberate, effortful retrieval, practicing at the edge of your ability, getting feedback, repeating. So how do you build this pattern library deliberately? 2 of the most powerful methods we know of for insurance are called claim sprints and rapid-fire case evaluations. Here's how a claim sprint works. Present a team with a real claim file, redacted but complete. They have 5 minutes to identify the coverage line, the relevant form, any exclusions that could apply, and most likely of all, the coverage issue. Then debrief. The time pressure is the point. It forces the brain to pattern match instead of processing line by line. Early attempts are gonna be rough. That's expected. But with repeated sprints across dozens of claim scenarios, the brain begins to chunk while grouping patterns and building the library. Rapid-fire case evaluations are similar but broader. Pull 10 different client scenarios. Each gets 2 minutes. Identify the primary risk, recommend a core coverage, flag the most likely gap. Mix the industries, restaurant, tech startup, general contractor, nonprofit. The interleaving forces discrimination. The brain must decide which framework applies before it can answer. Intuition isn't a personality trait, it's a trained capability with a measurable neurological basis. Every insurance professional has watched a veteran do something that looks like magic, spotting the gap, naming the risk, seeing the issue no one else caught. Now you know what's behind it, and you know it can be built. Faster than waiting 20 years for passive exposure to do it by accident. Intuition isn't magic. It's a myelinated pattern recognition, and you can build it on purpose. Click the subscribe button for the next video in this series where we tackle the feedback paradox and why insurance professionals avoid the one thing that would accelerate their growth the most.